friends, and welcome back to my Wildflower Birthday series. This is a part of my Celebrating 6T event that I'm hosting here in Hawaii, and I'm super excited to share with you project number 2. This is by far my favorite, and I think in all of my years of creating cards, this is one of my favorite cards I've ever made. So I hope you're gonna like it too. So this was made out of 2 of the large Memories and More card bases. I'm going to show you the card first. I've added some of that beautiful product that I shared with you in for the first video of this series. And then you open up the card and look at that. This is my favorite piece of paper, this cake paper. And you ready for the shadow box part? You open it up and look at that. So this is a fun shadow box card created with our large Memories and More cards. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'm going to teach you how to make this. So let's begin with the scoring. So you are going to need 2 of the large Memories and More card bases. So the first one, we're just going to put it to the side. This is 4 1/4 by 6.5 inches. We're going to put this to the side and we're going to use it just as is. For our second card, we are going to do a lot of scoring on this. So I'm going to take my stylus tool and I'm going to start by scoring it at 1/2 inch. Then the card is already scored here at 4 1/4 inches. That's the center of the card. We're going to score it again at 4 3/4 inches. Then we're going to score it at 5 1/4 inches. And one more time at 5 3/8 inches. Okay? And that's all the scoring that we need. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to fold that 1/2 inch back, and then I'm going to fold so that I can see where the main focal point of my card is going to be, and that is between that 1/2 inch and the fold of the card. Okay, so this is the natural fold of the card. So I want to make sure that I can see where that score line is, because this is going to be where my focal point is. And for that, we are going to need to die cut a piece. So I will be using my nested essential dies. I have this large piece here, and I'm going to lay this in the center, and I'm going to eyeball it till I can get it right in the center where I want it to go. And then I'm going to take this and place this on my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I'm going to cut it out. Now, when you place it through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, this is going to be a really tight fit. So we're going to make sure that we line up the plates perfectly straight so that we can run it through the machine and not bend the cardstock. Okay, so let me go run that through my machine right now. Ran that through the machine. Now I'm going to carefully remove this. And this is frog tape, but I just got this on Amazon, but you can also use washi tape, just something that won't tear the paper. Okay, now this, so this piece right here, I'm going to put this to the side, and we're actually going to repurpose this for project number 3 of this series. For right now, though, we have our hole cut, and we are ready to move on with the rest of this fun card. All right, now we're going to glue this together. So I'm going to take and I'm going to fold that 1/2 inch line up. I'm also going to fold here at the center fold of the card, and then I'm going to fold again on the next score line, and then one more time here as well. It is this fold here is the one where we're going to put our adhesive, but before we do our adhesive here, I'm going to go ahead and attach this first to the card. So we're going to take out the card base like this, and I'm going to place this in the card like this. And what I'm going to do is line it up right at the fold, and on this part right here, I'm going to add my adhesive. A sticky strip or a tear and tape would be good for this. I'm going to just go ahead and use my multi-purpose liquid glue. I put a thin thread of glue on there, and then I'm going to take and I'm going to fold this in and just press it down. We'll just give that a minute to dry. Okay? Now, once that's adhered, I'm going to open up the card, and you can see it's going to be attached to that, and you can already see the beginning of the shadow box forming. So now, how do we get the other side where we want it to go? So I've kind of already scored and folded on those lines, but it's where we want the adhesive to be on the back side of this right here. So I'm going to take and I'm going to fold this back. Okay, and we're going to put adhesive here, and then we're going to line this up so that it is attached to the edge of the card. Okay, so I'm going to fold this back. I'm going to take my adhesive. I'm going to put adhesive on this right here, and then I'm going to carefully line it up so that that will line up with the edge of the card. Okay, line it up straight, and that's good. Just press it down, and then where we have that extra score line, that's going to fold over the top. See, we did it. Okay, now we get to do the fun part. We get to decorate. Let's begin by adding some texture to the outside of our card. So for that, I'm going to use a 3x6 piece of bubble bath cardstock, and I'm going to place it in my Dashing Designs 3D embossing folder. Now I'm going to line this up until I have the desired pattern on there, and then I'm going to run this through my Stampin' Cut and emboss machine. Okay, once that's been embossed, it's going to look like this. And then I'm going to take and I'm going to add some adhesive, and I'm going to glue this down to the front of the card. And hopefully I sped that up enough that you didn't notice that big blob of glue that came out. But that's okay, nothing is close to the edge, so I'm just carefully pressing it on there. Okay, I got a new adhesive, so that other one I was using ran out. So now we have our texture on there, and now we are going to next add some designer series paper to the inside of our card. So for that, I have two pieces of my favorite piece of the Wildflower Birthday, which are 3x6 inches each. We're going to place one here and one here on the inside of the card. So let me get out my adhesive and place adhesive on the back of each of these and glue them on. And then I also have a 3x1 inch piece of the same designer series paper, but this time, just to add a little interest, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to glue down the stripe side. Okay, so we'll put adhesive on the cake side and glue this down. Okay, so we have the outside panel all textured and ready for our focal point. And then we have the next part of the card all covered with our designer series paper. And then we have the inside of the card now to work on. All right, it is time to do our stamping. And so I have blueberry bushel ink. I'll be using the birthday celebration stamp set. I'm going to stamp the words make a wish and then also happy and birthday. Because this is a photopolymer stamp, I have my cushion. So I'll start with make a wish. I'll go ahead and stamp that. And then on our pool party card here, I'm going to stamp the word birthday. And then just above it, I'll stamp the word happy. Okay, our stamping is done. And now we are ready to attach this to the inside of the card. So I'm going to take my adhesive. Oops. Surprise! Happy birthday on the back of this card too. And I'm going to glue that right there. That's the beautiful thing about cardstock is if you're not happy with what you've stamped, you can always flip it over and use the opposite side. All right, so all of our stamping is done, and now we're ready to finish this card with the pretty punch out pieces from the designer series paper pack. So again, this is Wildflower Birthday, and in the specialty paper, you are gonna punch out the cake, this large cluster of flowers, a little cupcake, and then this little tiny cluster of flowers as well. Now this piece here, the banner, we're gonna need to trim it a tiny little bit. So we are gonna trim it right after this blue one right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in and I'm going to just fussy cut around that blue one and just take off that one right there. I'm gonna come in and come out and just cut off that pumpkin or apricot colored one. So this will be the length of what we need. And then I can just save this for another project. Okay, So for the cake, we'll do that first. I'm going to just put a little bit of adhesive on the back here. And then I'm going to carefully place this in here as the focal point. Now I want this to go right there so that it's kind of the base is close to the bottom. I did that kind of sloppily. So I got a little bit of glue where I didn't want to get it. So just be careful when you place that in there that you don't use too much glue. I will let that dry and then I'll just use my little eraser to pick that up and you won't even know it's there. Then for the banner is going to come across the top, and you can see why I wanted to trim it a little bit, and it's because I want it to be able to fit just at the top of the cake, okay? So we're going to take and I'm going to place a little bit of adhesive. Now you just want adhesive on the ends of this. A little bit of adhesive on this end and a little bit on this end. And then we're gonna just stick that up in the corner and right over to the other side. Okay, and as long as that cake is near the bottom, then it should be the perfect alignment. And you just wanna let that dry a little bit, okay? All right, now for the bottom over here, we are gonna use the circle punch, and this is soft seafoam. So I'm just gonna put some adhesive on the back of this 2-inch circle, and we will attach that into the bottom of the card. All right, so I showed you this cupcake, but I actually wanna use this cupcake. Either one will work because all of these colors coordinate well together, but this is actually the one I wanna use, which is Pool Party in Pink. So I'm gonna put my adhesive on the back and place that right there in the center of that seafoam circle. And then we'll take this little cluster of flowers, put some adhesive here, and we're going to mount that in the corner like so. Okay, so the inside of the card is done, and now we're going to carefully fold this and fold this like this. I can see that the top of that banner is sticking up just a tiny little bit more, so I'm going to just trim that, okay? And now we're ready to do the front of the card, and we are just going to use that cluster of flowers as well as our sentiment Make-A-Wish. And so for that, I'm going to start with the Make-A-Wish, and I want that to hang over the edge of the card just a little bit. So I'm going to place it where I want it to go, and then I'm going to take and flip it over, and I'm only going to put adhesive on the side here. And then I'm going to flip this over, making sure that that adhesive is only on the right side of the circle, and place that right there. And then with the cluster of flowers, I'm going to place it on here so that the blue leaf will come right underneath the blue sentiment, and between the blue and the green leaf, it'll kind of frame like so. So again, I want to pay attention to where I'm putting my adhesive. I am going to use dimensionals for this. So what I'll do is I will place my finger right here and put a dimensional right there so that I know that that's where I want the flower to go. And then over here, I'm going to place dimensionals on this side of this flower cluster and take off the paper backing, take off the backing here as well. And then again, remember putting the blue and green leaf and kind of framing that word Make-A-Wish. You want to just make sure that your leaf is, this whole image is within the boundaries of the card. So before I stick it down, I'm just going to kind of measure it and see that looks good there, that looks good there. So I'm going to go ahead and press it down. Okay, so now the cluster of flowers is on the front, and then we are just going to finish this card up with some embellishments. I'm going to place a large one up here and a small one down here and one more large one. Okay, and our shadow box card is completed. Isn't that pretty? I hope that you enjoyed learning how to make this card. And now we're going to be moving on to project number 3 in this series, where I'm going to teach you how to create a gatefold card using the small Memories and More cards and the piece that we die cut out of this card. We're going to put that to purpose in the next project. So I'll see you back real soon for project number 3. Until then, aloha.